guys, it's Megan from Vigilante Vibes, and I am here to give you my spoiler-free review of the Fantastic Four First Steps. I saw it last night, and usually I immediately come home and give a review, but life got in the way. So I'm going to give you a spoiler-free review, and if you want spoilers, you can check out my other video, which will actually have spoilers. So I didn't really know what to expect going into the movie. I had seen all the amazing reviews. Everyone was just loving it. I've always liked the Fantastic Four, but I've never been like super into them like I am with other characters. But I will say I think the casting was fantastic. Sorry. I will say the cast of the movie, Vanessa Kirby, Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn, Evan Bachrach, they really did bring something new to the characters. I think it's not a secret that I've never been a Reed Richards fan. I think he's actually a villain. But Pedro Pascal brought something to Reed that actually made me like Reed. I was questioning myself, like, am I actually a Reed Richards fan? It was a whole soul-searching thing that I had to go through, apparently. But it's not even just what they brought to the characters, but it was the chemistry between the characters, like with Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm, the bickering back and forth, the treating each other like they're genuine family. That shines so brightly throughout the movie that it really did instill the idea that these people are a family. The person who I think stole the show was Sue Storm. Vanessa Kirby is Sue Storm. That's just who you are now. That casting is about on par with Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man or Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel. Other than the cast, I'd say Galactus was done perfectly. Phenomenally perfect. It was terrifying. It was menacing. You really did get goosebumps seeing it, especially if you're a comic reader. Seeing it actually brought to life really did something to you. Shala Ball, who was played by Julia Gardner, amazing scenes with her. Comic accuracy out the butt. And there's just so much to like about it. About her in that role. It was fantastic. I gotta stop using that word. It was phenomenal. It was amazing. It was incredible. For the movie, I'll say that is the most comic accurate movie the MCU has put out. For comic fans, you are going to love this movie. You will. For people who are not comic fans, I think there will be some points you're kind of like, well, what does that mean? But I hope it does make you want to read the comics and get to know these characters even more on the pages. And because there's such a rich history with all of these characters, all of their stories, and all of these stories are referenced in the movies. Like their first fight with Mole Man. That's not a spoiler because that's already been released. But there's so many little things in it that they really did do so much research on. There's also 2 end credit scenes that you do want to stay for. The first one you want to stay for. The second one was funny. Now the negatives of it. I don't think there was enough action scenes for my liking. I would have liked more than that. I won't say it's the best Marvel movie, but I will say it is the best Fantastic Four movie by far. I really enjoyed it, even though there were some things I would have preferred to happen differently, but I think it nailed the tone of the Fantastic Four comics. It nailed the characteristics of these characters that make them who they are, these characters that we've all loved and read for so long. And it brought in Fantastic Four-centric villains that really did make it feel like a comic book came to life, and I love that. Overall, I think the Fantastic Four First Steps was a beautiful love letter written to Jack Kirby. They actually even had a quote from him in the movie, at the end of the movie actually, that says, "If you look at my characters, you'll find me. No matter what kind of character you create or assume, a little of yourself must remain there." And at that point, I was like, do I cry? Because a lot of you know, I don't cry at movies. I never do. But at that point, I was like, ugh, it's nice to see Jack Kirby get the love that usually goes to Stan Lee. but they made very, very sure to include him and include his legacy in this movie. So I'd say this movie really did hit hard. Like I said, I don't think it's the best Marvel movie, but it is up there. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I saw some people say it was a filler movie, that they just didn't click with it. And it's like, I think once Avengers Doomsday comes out, that appreciation will elevate because it leads directly into Avengers Doomsday. So, like I said, this movie was made for comic fans, but I would think those who didn't read the comics would have a little more of a challenging time keeping up with the characters and the dynamics. But then again, I wouldn't know because I read the comics. I really, really hope this movie brings in more comic readers because I think something that's always annoyed me about Marvel is how Marvel Studios just chooses not to involve comics in their movies. Well, and I don't know how to say it. How they promote the movie should be more comic centered, and I think Fantastic Four is a really great start because Matt Shakman he's the director, really did go out of his way to make sure it's very comic accurate and involve comic accuracies. And this time, Marvel on their YouTube channel had a 90-minute history of the Fantastic Four in the comics, which I think they should do more often. And they did make it to where you could read these Fantastic Four comics, I think it was like 4 of them, for free. So there's that. They did up their game, and I hope they continue to do that. But overall, I'd say it was like a 9 out of 10. That might change. To be safe, I'll say 8.7 out of 10. But I will say it did my comic loving heart very, very good. I did really love it. So let me know in the comments what you thought. If you want to see a spoiler version of this video, I am posting that as well. So just check out my channel. With that being said, have a marvelous day.